Yeah. Giants.
Yeah. Giants.
Got some big giants for you today. Yep.
Yeah.
So, guess we're talking about giants.
Guess so.
How's it going, guys?
What's up?
Welcome to another episode of
Big Talk, Small Room.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should get into it, right?
Might as well.
Well, I'm Andrew.
And I'm not.
This is, like he said, Big Talk, Small Room. All right.
So you plan on talking about giants, eh?
Well, I've got one instance I'm going to talk about.
Well, you can't talk about giants without talking about Jim and Bill Vieira. I think that's how they pronounce their name. They interesting if you're interested in giants, you can watch a lot of. They've got a lot of video on one of the TV shows.
I think it's
Yeah.
on the
A lot of
History Channel.
episodes.
History Channel, I think.
Might be.
You might even find them just on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's so much. It's been out there for a good while now, and they've done a lot of looking and hunting and stuff. But so somebody wanted to talk about the giants and whether or not they've been hid, and maybe the Smithsonian may or may not be hiding them or dumping them in a river. Do you hear about that?
No, I did.
Yeah. So apparently somebody accused them of dumping them in a river because it was like, hey, you got any giant skeletons or anything? Oh no, looks like we've had some, but we can't find them. I just don't know where they're at. He's like, oh really? He's like, yeah, I just don't know. And then some guy's like, yeah, I heard they dumped them into such and such. And then some guy went looking and found, like some things that had been dumped that the Smithsonian actually had. So I don't know about the skeletons. It's rumored that they were, but I haven't seen the pictures, and it's kind of hard to say one way or the other. But that it's somebody's opinion, somebody's word against somebody else's word. But we do know that the government would not lie to us about anything. So what are you laughing for?
Right.
So
they may or may not.
yeah, we just two clowns with a camera. What do we know? But
the internet doesn't lie.
The internet, the government, TV, news, people. There's something going on there. Can't figure it out. Anyway, so you was telling me something about a Kandahar giant or something to that effect?
It's Kandahar giant.
What's that, like Afghanistan?
Yeah, Afghanistan. Yeah,
It's like a red-headed giant or something?
That's what they call it, the red-headed giant.
And how big is this red-headed giant?
I think they said it was 15 feet.
15 feet.
15 feet tall.
So we had a couple sheep herders, goat herders, camel riders, horse riders, rabbit herders come across this thing, or how did this come about?
Well, so the story goes in 2002, because there's always a story.
It's got to be a story.
In 2002, it doesn't say a lot about the branches or anything.
What, on the tree?
But it's military.
Oh, military branches. Oh, okay.
So apparently a group of
military
people, yeah, went missing, or they didn't know if they were missing or not. They just didn't have radio contact with them anymore. So they sent
some
special forces of some branch to go check out the area that they were in.
Do we know the branch? The special forces?
No, it does
not. Were they like
say.
Navy SEALs or Army Rangers, or were there Green Beret?
Well,
I
really
do they
don't
say
know.
beret anyway? That's spelled bread, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm sure. I'm sure.
French. It's French.
um.
So your story,
So
you talk about the red-headed giant and
that's right.
the military. They was hanging around there and building fires and yelling and stuff like that. And then they disappeared.
Well, I'm sure they're on some kind of mission, but who knows?
Was probably bringing water to people who needed it.
Right. We'll go with that. Well, anyway, they didn't have any radio contact, so they sent a special forces group in, and when they got into the area, they saw. So it was a mountain, and they saw equipment lying all over the ground from the group that's missing. So they investigated it, and they went up the mountain up to this cave area,
Okay.
and they found remains of body parts and stuff laying on the ground with other equipment.
Oh, like just tore apart or partially eaten or what?
Well, they're saying that he ate them, so I'm guessing that it looks.
Tastes like chicken or what?
Well, I don't want to know.
Everybody says everything tastes like chicken. It never does to me, but anyway.
I don't know.
So he's eating people.
Yeah, from the looks of it, and then
So he may not be human. Was it humanoid?
well, they calling it a cryptid, but I guess if he's a big
Bigfoot?
redhead giant guy,
It's a big red-headed Bigfoot.
but he's shaved. Bigfoot who's
Wait a
shaved.
minute. It says red hair, right? Red hairy guy, right?
Yeah, red hair.
Red hair or hairy?
Red-headed. That's what it says. Red-headed giant with 6 digits.
He had extra fingers and toes.
I don't know.
You know, there's a few different stories you hear about giants having extra fingers and toes. It's weird. You said that, but some of the stories that I've heard, that seems to be a thing about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know.
Well, 15 feet tall is pretty tall.
Yeah, that would
So
be
when we have on record,
14 times taller than a normal person.
I think the biggest, I could be wrong, but I think the tallest person we have on recorded was 8 foot 11 inches or something like that. It was 8 foot something.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I thought it would have been in the 7-foot range somewhere. 7'8", 7'9". Golly. Could you imagine that? I mean, like how big that is? Because, you know, like Shaquille O'Neal is like 7 foot, 7'2", something like that. And he is a giant looking man when he's, you know, anywhere near normal size people.
Yeah.
He is a giant looking dude. You know, thank God he's a nice guy.
Yeah. No.
Great dick. Can you imagine that? But now you picture somebody another foot taller than him.
Or double his size.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they was that much taller than him, they would probably weigh another 150 pounds more. That'd be a monster sized person, 8 feet.
Yeah.
Nobody gonna stop him at the cafeteria.
No.
Two's like, can I get in?
Let me get in front of you. Yes, sir.
Whatever, dude. Just leave me something to eat. Find you up there. Try not to eat.
If he's in front of you, probably gonna eat.
Try not to eat the people at the cash register. So this red-headed giant is killing and eating people.
Well, that's what they said.
And then they send the special forces in and
to check on the group. And when they got to the cave, they said a 15-foot giant emerged from the cave, and he threw a spear and it impaled one of the special forces people. So
impaled,
you know, when something like that happens, they're gonna shoot back.
Yeah, it's kind of like less soft threat, fixed threat.
Yeah, so it says they used M4 and M107 Barrett anti-material rifle with the 50 cal BMG.
Mm.
And they said they shot at him for 30 seconds, and not much less. longer than 1 second if you're shooting 50 cal at it. So I imagine at the end of that, he fell pretty quick.
Yeah. Kind of like they shot him and he started moving from the bullets and they stop moving, pop, 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 stop moving. He kept shooting him while he's
Yeah.
stop moving, stop moving, stop moving, pop, pop, pop. Maybe.
Probably. I don't know. That or they were just scared by how big it was. They're like, I ain't let go till I know he's dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, and like he's standing there and Jim Bob gets a spear in his chest or whatever. And he's like, shoot him. So I mean, yeah, I mean, and if the dude's throwing a spear and he's 15 foot tall, he's probably not throwing a spear like the camera this big around. It's probably like like a tree limb or something coming at you. That would be terrifying. So they got the body and sent it to the Smithsonian.
No. It says, or it said that after they killed it, they loaded onto a Chinook helicopter.
Okay.
And brought it back to the States.
To the United States.
Yep. And then they were supposed to. They all had to sign non-disclosure agreement to be quiet about it.
So somebody lied on the agreement then, because we found out about it.
Yeah. Well, it says eventually the soldiers broke their silence because one of the men would later say, "The people have the right to know the truth."
So
that
that's just a side note. If you sign a agreement like that with the government, that's a pretty good indication that you're going to keep your mouth shut, or they're going to help you keep your mouth shut. So
yeah,
they have ways of shutting you up. I mean, they can lock you away. That's because you signed an agreement saying they can.
Yeah.
So whoever decided to talk about that, if in fact it's true and they signed that agreement, they taking a big risk because they can be incarcerated for quite a while, and who knows what the agreement said, could say something worse than that.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be the soldiers from what happened, so I'm sure they knew who that group was. Whether they would tell us they knew or not.
Well, they have they said that they've recovered the giant, or did they deny it?
The government?
Yes.
Well,
so how do you prosecute a guy for a non-disclosure agreement if you deny it happened?
True. They'd have to find proof before they could go after it, I guess. If you deny it and then somebody brings proof up, then you're like, well,
he's in jail. He's in jail for AWOL. Yeah, he went AWOL, so we put him in jail for 100 years.
Well, this says Snopes called the Department of Defense to ask him about the Kandahar Giant incident, and they just said no record or information about a special force member being killed by a giant.
Yeah, they don't.
Kandahar.
Well, they don't. If it's classified,
it says in Kandahar, does that mean they have record of them dying? A special force person dying somewhere else from a giant? It says no record or information about a special forces member killed by a giant in Kandahar.
I don't know that I'd read too much into that part of it. I would think that if it happened, if it was classified, some kind of top secret type thing, they're not going to disclose any information on it. If it's true, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not true, obviously they're going to deny it. But if it's true, they're not going to give any information out if it's classified. So, and if they had to sign an agreement, it would be. So, or so I'm told.
I imagine it wouldn't be much different than the UAP situation. They ever declassify it?
Well, can they declassify something like that?
I wouldn't know. So
it's kind of interesting. It's a very interesting subject. I looked at a lot of stuff with the and I'm familiar with the story. It's just been a long time since I've listened to it, and there's a lot of different versions on the Kandahar giant. And John Allen, Mr. Ballin, he has a a good video on it, and there's a couple other people that do too. But he's the one I'm most familiar with. That's why I use his name. I watch a lot of stuff. But
Well,
I,
on these type of subjects, he's
I
got a lot of good stuff to watch.
yeah, I think that our viewers should look at some of this stuff too, and take note of it. When it comes to giants, there's a lot of people that have claimed to have seen giants or had skeletal remains, and you talking, they're considered giants. A long time ago, a giant would be 7 feet tall, because not a lot of people got that big. But if you saw 3 or 4 people in the same area that was that big, it's a tribe of giants. It would have to be in their mind. And in my mind, if I was there, I would think so too. I couldn't disagree with that. I know a lot of times I'm on here disagreeing with everything, or it seems like I am anyway. But yeah, I couldn't disagree with that. I mean, we have some really large people, in our country right now. I mean, sports athletes and stuff, they're really big guys, and even some in the fighting, MMA and stuff. You got some really big guys. It's not a stretch that people could have been that big before. And you've got all that information on that stuff. You got any more on that red-headed giant thing?
That was pretty much everything I had on that.
What
for that
didn't
one.
Hernando de Soto? Didn't he run into some giants?
Did he?
He's a conquistador, right? It's like a conqueror or something. And he was running to I think they were. I think they created some of that problems themselves. I really think they probably were not picking fights. I mean, it's like if your name is Conqueror,
Yeah.
you kind of take that, you get that name, for a reason. So I think they kind of went out picking fights, and they come across this guy is of giant stature, right? Out in the maybe it was Florida area. And they come across this guy who was really big. He's a young guy, but the tallest guys, the conquistadors' tallest guys, come up to mid his chest area. So you figure if they was 5'8", 5'9" type size, or even if there's a little taller, but we just go with the shorter guys just for the sake of the argument. If they were 5'8", 5'9", and from here to here on somebody my height, would be a foot or a foot and a half, and somebody that much taller than them would have to be 2.5 feet. So that would put them right at 8 foot or more. And they said this person was young, and he was the chief's son, and the chief was Tuscaloosa. And so anyway, the chief's son walked them back to the village, and when they saw the chief, they was like, okay, it's another big guy. And then the son got up next to the chief, and the chief stood up, and he was way bigger than the son. And they was like, oh, Dookie. And so, right after they went, poot, they looked around and said, we don't want to mess with this dude, this guy. And they invited him in. Like, come on in, we're friendly. Well, they probably had knowledge of the conquistadors. It was like, these guys, they just here to steal our gold and kill us. And I don't know. I don't know what they was thinking. I'm just pretending like I do. So anyway, maybe they done that, right? And then they bring them in and they feed them and get them all liquored up and drunk. And when they went to go out, they got ambushed. Is that right? And then the guy's like, hey, it's an ambush. Defend yourself. And they defend themselves. A bunch of them got killed. And they escaped the city. And they went outside the city, and being, conquistadors, they regrouped.
Yeah.
And guess what happened?
They went back.
They went back. They killed the chief's son. I think they even cut his head off, burned all the buildings. Chief, of course, while all this was happening, being the brave and extremely tough father that he was, ran off.
Well, yeah. They didn't.
He ran off, and then they chased him a couple weeks. Well, they didn't chase him. He ran off. Then they never found him, and then they realized, oh, he got away. So then they they started chasing. They started hunting through the woods, and they found a bunch of empty cities. I mean, and you talking like the city they were in, what like a village. They described it as a city, and they've seen villages and they've seen cities, so they would know.
Yeah.
So so then after this, they never found him, but they found a whole bunch of empty houses and stuff like that, which they probably looted and burned. Make sure he can't come back to nothing. I mean, that would be the thought, military speaking. But yeah, he got away. So that's kind of weird. And then I heard something about another story about one of the explorers. You hear about that? Something about giants on the beach or something.
Giant on the beach. I don't know who the explorer
Dancing
is.
giant.
Who's the explorer? Who was the explorer?
Well, I don't know, Magellan or somebody.
Magellan. That sounds about right.
Is it had a giant, naked giant jumping around on the beach or dancing?
Yeah, he
or
was
something?
dancing and singing. I think they said.
He's like, "Hey, Jimmy, come here. I want you to go up there and greet this guy, and and they dance and stuff.
Dance and sing back at him.
Don't make him mad. He's kind of big. We don't want him attacking us, And yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I couldn't tell you all of it. I mean, I know they did that.
Tell us what you remember now, and I'll try to see if I remember anything else.
I know they did that, and then after the dancing and all, I guess it went off good. He didn't attack them. So, he made hand gestures or something towards them that made it look like he was pointing at the heavens or whatever, the sky, and
he was either asking them if they were from the sky or telling them he was from the sky.
Yeah. So,
is that like the Anunnaki?
The name of them?
Like the Anunnaki. That's probably going to be a different show. That's kind of like the ancient alien theorist, the Anunnaki.
Well, I'm sure they talk a lot about this situation for that, because of that whole.
Yeah. But
yeah,
so maybe he was telling them, "Hey, look, but he probably wasn't, because they showed him a mirror, and he got scared. Got scared of his own reflection, which don't make sense to me, because if he's around other giants, right?
Maybe he was uglier than he thought he was.
All the girls said I was pretty, man.
That's what I look like.
Oh my god,
that thing is hideous.
Wow.
That thing is broke. That's not what I look like.
He said he jumped back. He knocked a couple guys down. He jumped back so fast.
Well, you would think he'd at least seen himself in a reflection of the water or something. Had to been something about the mirror. Maybe he'd never seen a mirror before. It threw him off, just the fact that it was a mirror, not that his reflection was in it.
The fact that it was so clear, his reflection was so clear, because in the water you just get a kind of a glimpse of reflection. It's I guess some of them you can get a real good reflection, but I'm saying, maybe the water's a different clarity.
Yeah.
And he didn't have it could still be clear water, you still not get a good reflection in it. But he got a mirror, and he's like, "Oh, Dookie."
Yeah.
Well,
I know he brought them all back to their village, and all of the giants there did the same thing he did. Point to the sky or whatever, point to them. So they were all wondering the same thing or saying the same thing.
Yeah. And of course, they were like Spanish or Europeans or something, right? So.
Yeah. Well, the giants are really nice, and they're really nice. I guess they got to take advantage of them somehow.
Yeah. It's like everybody that goes to another country, like they just like, "Hey, how you doing? We're friendly." Get the cuffs. So they kidnapped a couple of them. Is that right?
Yeah, they tricked them into being kidnapped. They gave them a bunch of golds and trinkets and stuff, and filled their hands full. So then they broke out the little bracelets, the anklets.
Oh yeah,
the fancy anklets.
Kind of like the police department uses, isn't
it? They couldn't carry them, so what do you do with an anklet? You gotta put it on.
That's right.
until they start driving the nail into it, and it looks. Wait a second, this don't look right because you can't
I
can't
get
pull it
that
back
off.
out.
I'm not gonna get that off. What are you doing?
Something's wrong here.
Knock a pin through it, knock the pin over. You can't get it off. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the evidence didn't survive.
Well, we didn't get that far, but you know. What happened? Either one of them getting chained realized it, which I don't think was the case. I think it was another one of the villagers realized they were being tricked. They tried to come help. They, I guess they might have killed one of them.
The conquistadors.
Yeah, whatever they were, and then realized there was way too many of them to fight alone, so went back to get reinforcements. But then by the time they got back, they already had the giants in the ship and sailing off.
Sailing away. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So how come we don't see these giants now, roaming around? They kill them all off? You think maybe they killed them all off?
I don't know. Maybe a asteroid hit the Earth.
Well, you have to think about it. I mean, every time they found something that was unique, they killed it.
Yeah.
It's like seems like that's like what we do as a human species. We find something unique and we kill it. Hey, look, it's giants. Let's kill them.
Wow.
Let's take them hostage and kill the rest.
With that group, though, it's like where did the giant wind up going? If they had them, they said the giants got sick and died. Okay, what'd you do with the bodies? And then you had an uprising.
Well, I mean, I'm sure.
And then the captain got killed.
I mean, back in those days, it took them 3 months or whatever it took them. I don't know the time frame because I'm not an expert on it, but I'd say 3 to 6 months to sail from the Americas back to any place they was coming from. So if it takes them that long and the giants died, I'm sure they were smelling. It's not like they had embalming fluid. So what they do, throw them off the ship because who wants to smell that? Well, that's probably why they, got rid of the captain. He's like, no, we're going to keep them for proof. He's like, we'll throw you off too, guy.
Could have been. Well, luckily, he had a couple people survive and have it written down for us to hear about, I guess.
That's pretty interesting.
But you would think maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he does say what they did with the bodies, but you would think he'd say, well, we had to do this because of this.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of giant stories of giants all over the world, and especially in Americas and Mexico.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. So you got
the Mayans and stuff had stuff written down about it. Then you've got it in places like the Bible.
Yeah, it's the Nephilim.
Yep. Or David and Goliath. Goliath was supposed to be a giant.
Yeah. He didn't want no match for that rock though, was he?
No.
Yeah,
just like the Kandahar giant wasn't a match for that 50 cal. That's a little bit bigger rock. I don't know, it could have been smaller. This is coming a lot faster though.
Yeah, a lot faster. The funny thing with that whole giant stuff is there's so many documents of it. People dug up Indiana. They've had people dig up skeletons that was over 8 feet tall. In Missouri, they've had some, and Mexico, they've had some. Just a lot of places I just can't pull out of my head right now. But looking at all the information on it, it's odd that we don't display it at something like a museum, something like a Smithsonian or something like that.
Yeah, because we do dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. And they have evidence. They have they have documentation on where they've received the bones. And so if it says they've received the bones of giants, and then it gives measurements in some cases of greater than this, greater than that type thing. It seems like if that's the case, they would display it. But you talking about a building that's 3-4 stories, um, that you never get to, that where they keep all the stuff. It's like, not just what you see. It's a bunch of building that you don't see, and they keep a lot of boxes and different things, just different things. You go through all kind of cases where stuff's at the Smithsonian and nobody can get to it. It's not just one museum. It's more than one. Stuff like that does happen.
Yeah.
Maybe the giants built the pyramids. Maybe aliens didn't.
Well, funny you said that because the Mayans believe one of their bigger pyramids was made by Giant and his family to survive a flood.
Well,
so I guess
I mean, the Maya have some unique customs, and it's interesting that they would think that Giant built it.
Yeah.
We could have built that. It was Giant. I don't know. I mean, but there are stories. A lot of stories with giants. They talk about the how a lot of different buildings. Stone was built, islands and stuff. Where you have huge stones that was placed, and it's like, yeah, well, giants placed them. I can't say. They'd have been a pretty good sized giant because there's some really big stones. You talking about something machines today? You'd have to tandem machines up to pick them up. One machine just don't have the power to do it. That kind of thing. So I don't know how they moved them, but it'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of different things you can look up or when you're looking for giant information. There's no shortage of stories or it's like a rabbit hole. I know when we talked about doing the show, I looked and it's like, where do I start? There's so many. We talk about just these 3 and there's so many more, 3 or 4.
There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories, and so we basically just had to decide on a few that might be documented a little bit more. A couple obviously is documented by known explorers that everybody has accepted their abilities to tell the truth and documentation. There's documents are verified, so it's kind of hard to discredit that because they've documented, they explored, they document a lot of explorations and stuff. So it's hard to say that no, that's not true. So when you look at the evidence from something like that, I have to say, yeah, it's true. And giants definitely existed at one time in the size range they talk about. In the 15-foot giant stuff, it's hard to, the red-headed giant or whatever it's called, it's hard to go one way or the other with that one. Knowing the other ones are true, it would be hard to say, well, that's not true because you don't have any evidence. But it's also hard to say it's true because you don't have any evidence.
Yeah.
It's you're not going to have evidence unless somebody pops up with a picture, and then it's going to have to be scrutinized to make sure it hadn't been photoshopped, kind of thing.
Yeah, and nowadays there's there's a lot of information and stuff or stories on giants. There's also a lot of fake stuff on giants. I've seen a bunch of stuff like that too.
Well, they had one guy, and I don't remember where it was at, but one of the stories I was reading on this guy, he had bones of giants, and what he took a picture of a skeleton he dug up on his farm, and he sent it to his buddy. His buddy's like, dude, that is a giant skeleton. Well, the thing was, it really wasn't a giant skeleton. It was an average sized man. And he was closer. The skeleton was closer to the camera than the guy was. So it made the skeleton look so much bigger than him that the way the camera was when he kind of laid down by it, and when his buddy told him that, he's like, yeah, it does, doesn't it? So he just started charging people to come to his thing and look. He roped the area off where they couldn't get near it, and he just charged them to look at it. And I don't know exactly how he scaled it to where he made people still believe it, but somebody verified it that the skeleton was actually just average height. But so you do have people who, I mean, if it's a drought and you're not getting a whole lot of crops in, you got to make money. You got to eat.
Yeah.
So what you gonna do? Whatever you have to do. So you have stuff like that does happen, and that's looking up stuff we had to research to find stuff like that. But then when you see the stories of people that are documenting, it's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with their documentation. That's what they done. That was their living, conquering and stealing and documenting.
Yeah.
Documenting. I just made up a word. How about that? You're welcome. You can use it.
Well, I think you guys should look into it. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of stuff there. Maybe comment one of your favorite stories about it, and we can look into it and see. We enjoy it with you, and
we can come back on some of these subjects that we touch on too. There's no problem with that. If you want to get more in depth in a particular story, we can do that. Just as just it takes a little time to pull all the resources out and look everything up and get information on it. And this was actually somebody's suggestion, to look at the giants and are they actually being hidden from the public? Is there a reason why that we can't know? Are there aliens? Are they Nephilim? How do you say that word?
Nephilim. That's how I say it. It might not be right, but
never get that right ever. Never do. For some reason, can look at it and still get it wrong.
Yeah, it does have a
oddity to it. But yeah, you can just suggest stuff, and we'll look into it and try to get everything.
Well, speaking on that, we did have someone. I don't know if you guys seen the short. If you haven't, we did have someone say we should do lives.
Yeah.
So we came up with a plan.
I think what we should do, we can do the live at 250 like we discussed. I think it's a good idea. I think maybe the next show or two we do, I think we'll do the normal editing on this, and then we'll do it kind of like live, so we do less editing, or you know what I'm saying?
We don't do much editing already.
I know, but
most of it's just audio related.
But we can just do one where we don't do any, and we can see what they think.
They might not hear it.
Oh, they'll hear it. They might be too loud at times, but they'll hear it.
Yeah. But we have all the equipment to do live streams. We literally, like right now, we're using a live stream software to record this show. Everything's there. So when we hit that quota,
what model camera are you using?
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Because people ask me sometimes. They say, "Well, what are y'all using?"
I think
like, we just just your standard basic AB.
Honestly, it's just a GoPro.
Yeah,
it's the newest GoPro.
Like a GoPro 14 or something. I don't know what.
I don't even know what it is now. It's Hero something. I don't know. It's the newest one.
And it's in 1080.
Yeah. And I think this one records in 4K too, but that's just not everybody can run 4K on the internet. So
yeah,
if you have slower internet speeds, you can't run it.
Yeah, it's some people ask me about that, and I want to make sure we cover that on the show, because they have asked us, and we never really talked about it. But yeah, so
yeah,
and you can, if you plan on doing something like that, you can comment and ask us, and we can let you know what mics we use, that kind of thing.
And honestly, it wouldn't be hard for us to throw like a little short of our setup. We could do a short and show all of our crazy wiring that they don't see right now. It's horrible.
It's
Well, it maybe not horrible, but it's not.
it looks
It's not nice.
it looks like a looks like somebody was stripping wire out of a conduit and throwing it down and on the floor
It don't
before
look
they
that
run a
bad.
new wire.
It don't look that bad.
And
I've seen that. I've seen that before.
It's bad. It's just wires everywhere.
There are a lot. There are a lot of wires.
But it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this and enjoy getting the comments. So really don't know what we want to do for the next show. We've had some suggestions on a couple things, talking about the Wendigo.
We hadn't really had any suggestions since the first episode of the season, right? We're going off. Most of these are off of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do Ghost. I don't know if anybody said Ghost, but
yeah, everybody likes Ghost. We'd do another one on Ghost.
We still got to do that. Foot on the ground. Foot on the ground. Go to ghost tours.
Yeah, it's a little early for that. I'm sure they still do them, but I'm honestly I'm thinking maybe wait till September time.
When it's cooler.
Yeah, when it's cooler, a little less traffic. A little less dealing with stuff like that. I'm not real big on getting around a bunch of people in traffic and stuff. It's not my thing.
Well, guys, leave a comment on what you would like to see us do next. Because, like you said, we don't really have anything open.
No, we open-minded. We can hunt anything down. It just takes a little bit of time to do it, and we don't mind doing it. Like I say, the Wendigo, that's a it's some people have said something about a skinwalker, and so two separate things. Some people consider them similar, but I after looking at them, they're completely different things. But there's a lot of people who's done a lot of stuff on the skinwalker stuff, and I'm not sure how long it'd take to research that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there, so it's how it was with this one. How you got to dig through what's possible, what's maybe made up type thing. It's a lot of stuff, and a lot of people put it out there just to have fun with it. And Wendigo is a little different. It's basically it's a monster that eats people. It's kind of like cannibalistic people that turn into a monster. Kind of how the story goes with that. So we can look into it. It's definitely cannibalism stuff that doesn't strike me as a good talking points, but we can do it if we get a couple comments. If people want to see it, we'll do it. But if you have something you'd like to see covered, just let us know and we'll give our take on it. Like everybody else, we have our own take and we enjoy giving our take on it. Yeah. But this was a very interesting, to see all the evidence that we have. So I say giants. I say they exist. I think they have anyway.
I think they have. I don't know if it exists now, but if the 2002 situation happened, I guess they could still be around.
Long ago, 22 years ago.
Well, but a lot could happen in 22 years. Yeah. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends, family. Doesn't matter, just share.
Yeah, hit the notification button and tell people about it. And you say, hey, look, I seen these two clowns with a camera. And we'd be more than happy to have more people commenting and talking and stuff. And we appreciate you watching. As always, it's enjoyable to see people enjoying what we do. We started out doing it to have fun, and now we have a few people that enjoy watching it with us. So
the topics they've enjoyed talking. I've had people message me on
social media.
Yeah, social media, and had discussions with me about it. So it's pretty cool. Do it in this comment section here. Y'all discuss it with each other too. Tell us what you think.
A new logo coming?
Yeah, I think this episode might have already showed it.
Really?
We'll see.
We will see.
But we'll catch you guys in the next video.
And would give credit to the designer of the logo, but they requested to remain anonymous, as odd as that would be.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful for it, though.
We're grateful for the time they took, and I wanted to give them credit, and the individual said no, I don't want credit, and so thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You know who you are. Thank you. So that's it for me.
Yep. No. Since he didn't say it earlier, I'm Andrew, and this is Tracy.
I'm Tracy.
This is Bigtalk-Smallroom. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
This has been a Bigtalk-Smallroom production.